I think we're live. How's it going? Happy Wednesday to you. Hope you're having an amazing week so far. I really appreciate anyone and everyone who tunes in. And we're going to get right back into Thomas A. Kempis, The Imitation of Christ, which I think is one of the best books ever written. I honestly think it's probably the most important book written in the past 1,000 years, which says a lot. But what do I know? I haven't read that much. But this book, I mean, you want to talk about a self-help book, this is it, in my personal opinion. Yeah, so let's get right. Last time I wrote I was reading through chapter 10, and then I didn't do chapter 10 because I thought that I'd typed in chapter 9. So I'm going to make up for it. We're going to do 10 through 15 today. Talk a little bit about it as I go. Again, I am no expert in any of this. I am a fool, and I know I'm a fool. But I'm trying to figure this out. And that's the thing with Christianity, with self-help, with trying to get yourself on the right track no matter what it is. You're never there, right? You're never there. And so it may seem prideful that I'm reading this and exclaiming that this is the greatest book, and I get that. I completely get it. And so forgive me if that's how I come across. But I think we're all trying to figure things out, especially right now. And this is a moment where maybe with all the craziness going on in the world, all of the tumult, all of the chaos, maybe that is one way of God speaking to us directly, saying, get yourself in order. This is one thing that I'm not on X, so if anybody ever comments on any of these videos, I'm taking a sabbatical. X was really good for me for about a year, a little over a year. It was very, very helpful. You follow the right accounts, you see the right memes, and it can help. It can be very good for you. You can psyop yourself sort of positively. But now I got to the point where I need to focus on my family. I need to focus on life, my career, and move forward. So, social media can be a distraction. I don't think it's news to anyone. And it gets my brain fired up. And then I'll start cursing on there. It's just not good. It's not good. And I don't think cursing's like the worst thing, but it's not good. It says it right in here. It's not good. Anyway, so if you comment on anything, I'm probably not going to respond. Maybe in a few months I'll get back on and I'll be active again. But I don't know if I'm suppressed. I don't really get too much reaction anyway. And I also think that since they monetized it, I don't see the discussion that I used to. Everyone is very concerned about getting viewers over to their page or to their content. And so you just don't see the back and forth discussion that you used to see, in my personal opinion. So, but that's for neither here nor there. Let me get right back to chapter 10 of Thomas A. Kempis, The Imitation of Christ. Chapter 10, of the danger of superfluity of words. And this is what I'm talking about. Exactly what I'm talking about. I like to talk. I like to mouth off online. I have since the late 90s. And you learn it doesn't really get you anywhere. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. And if you're the type of person who has a hard time with having a filter, you learn real quick that society does not reward that. necessarily. Avoid as far as thou canst the tumult of men, for talk concerning worldly things, though it be innocently undertaken, is a hindrance. So quickly are we led captive and defiled by vanity. Many a time I wish that I had held my peace and had not gone amongst men. But why do we talk and gossip so continually, seeing that we so rarely resume our silence without some hurt done to our conscience? We like talking so much because we hope by our conversations to gain some mutual comfort, and because we seek to refresh our wearied spirits by a variety of thoughts. And we very willingly talk and think of those things which we love or desire, or else of those which we most dislike. Can you imagine if you'd gone up to Kempis in the 1400s and tried to explain social media to him? You know, I'm not real big on the apocalypse is coming, the apocalypse is near stuff. But if you described the world today to somebody back then, especially a holy person, someone who was walking the right path, can you imagine what they would say? But alas, it is often to no purpose and in vain. For this outward consolation is no small hindrance to the inner comfort which cometh from God. Therefore, we must watch and pray that time pass not idly away. If it be right and desirable for thee to speak, speak things which are to edification. Evil custom and neglect of our real profit tend much to make us heedless of watching over our lips. Nevertheless, devout conversation on spiritual things helpeth not a little to spiritual progress, most of all where those of kindred mind and spirit find their ground of fellowship in God. Chapter 11, of seeking peace of mind and of spiritual progress. We may enjoy abundance of peace if we refrain from busying ourselves with the sayings and doings of others, and things which concern not ourselves. How can he abide long time in peace, who occupieth himself with other men's matters, and with things without himself, and meanwhile payeth little or rare heed to the self within? Blessed are the single-hearted, for they shall have abundance of peace. How came it to pass that many of the saints were so perfect, so contemplative of divine things? Because they steadfastly sought to mortify themselves from all worldly desires, and were so enabled to cling with their whole heart to God, and be free and at leisure for the thought of Him. Let me silence my phone real fast. We are too much occupied with our own affections and too anxious about transitory things. Seldom, too, do we entirely conquer even a single fault, nor are we zealous for daily growth in grace, and so we remain lukewarm and unspiritual. And this is what I figured out X or social media in general was doing to me is you'd see the right stuff and you'd internalize it and you'd think, okay, I need to take this, I need to better myself. I need to take this true information, this good information, and better myself. But unless you really curate that timeline, that algorithm will get you with stuff that is going to get that amygdala going, that fight or flight, get you excited, get you opinionated, and then suddenly you're doing the holier than thou thing, or you think that you're on the right side, so you have every right to say whatever you want. And no, man, that's my kryptonite. That's what gets me in trouble faster than anything. But yet I still have this need. I have this need to talk. I wanted to be a professor growing up. I wanted to speak the truth, and I would be that guy. I could figure it out, But you quickly learn, you quickly figure out that It's what I said yesterday. That I think I said it the day before, which is there's what we know, and then there's what we know we don't know, and then there's what we don't know we don't know, and what we don't know we don't know could be like infinite, literally could honestly be infinite for all we don't know. Where was I? Were we fully watchful of ourselves, not bound in spirit to outward things, then might we be wise unto salvation, and make progress in divine contemplation. Our great and grievous stumbling block is that, not being freed from our affections and desires, we strive not to enter into the perfect way of the saints. And when even a little trouble befalleth us, too quickly are we cast down and fly to the world to give us comfort. Yeah, isn't that the truth? And so is that what I'm doing here? Am I putting this out there live, thinking, oh, maybe people will listen to me, and then I'll get to do this for a living someday, some type of thing? Yeah, kind of. Is that good? Yeah, I don't know. Is it bad? I don't know. But we all do that. We all do it. Even if it's just gossip, even if it's just talking to our neighbor about another neighbor, talking to a friend about somebody, you know. And especially if you have like a falling out or you're not getting along with someone, and you just mouth off. You mouth off. And it'll get you. It'll come back, and you'll feel it somewhere deep inside in your conscience. And that's where you lose your peace. It's one thing to worry about the news. It's another thing to worry about people that you actually care about. But in a moment where you're just running your mouth, suddenly you've heard God, and you know it. Everyone is a child of God. Literally every human that's ever lived, born and unborn, is a child of God. And it's so easy for us to forget that. And so Jesus says, go above and beyond. Don't just treat others the way you want to be treated. Treat others the way you would treat me, or treat others the way that I treat others. And that's a cross. That's heavy. It's heavy. But if we at least work toward that, if we strive for that, maybe that's where peace lies. And again, that's why I'm reading this. I'll try to stop being so redundant, but this, I mean, it hits you hard. Or at least it should. These words, we may think that we're not even looking for peace, but in the end we are. We all are, right? If we would quit ourselves like men and strive to stand firm in the battle, then should we see the Lord helping us from heaven. For he himself is always ready. I don't know if that must be a typo. Is always ready to help those who strive and who trust in him. Yea, he provideth for us occasions of striving to the end that we may win the victory. If we look upon our progress in religion as a progress only in outward observances and forms, our devoutness will soon come to an end. But let us lay the axe to the very root of our life, that, being cleansed from affections, we may possess our souls in peace. If each year should see one fault rooted out from us, we should go quickly on to perfection. But on the contrary, we often feel that we were better and holier in the beginning of our conversions than after many years of profession. Zeal and progress ought to increase day by day. Yet now it seemeth a great thing if one is able to retain some portion of this first ardor. If we would put some slight stress on ourselves at the beginning, then afterwards we should be able to do all things with ease and joy. It is a hard thing to break through a habit, and a yet harder thing to go contrary to our own will. Yet if thou overcome not slight and easy obstacles, how shalt thou overcome great ones? Withstand thy will at the beginning, and unlearn an evil habit, lest it lead thee little by little into worse difficulties. Oh, if thou knewest what peace to thyself thy holy life should bring to thyself, and what joy to others, methinketh thou wouldst be more zealous for spiritual profit. And so maybe it's smart to learn from someone who devoted their entire life to silence and prayer. You know, when someone who, you know, we don't even know if he wrote this book. We don't even know if this guy wrote this book. Nobody does. Nobody knows who wrote this. For sure, for certain. People are pretty sure it was Kempis. But that's powerful in and of itself, that notion, right? Here's somebody saying, look, you have no idea how great this is, this peace, this inner peace. And if you did, you'd be living different. It's powerful. Chapter 12, of the uses of adversity. It is good for us that we sometimes have sorrows and adversities, for they often make a man lay to heart that he is only a stranger and a sojourner, and may not put his trust in any worldly thing. It is good that we sometimes endure contradictions, and are hardly and unfairly judged, when we do and mean what is good. Unfairly judged when we do and mean what is good. For these things help us to be humble, and shield us from vain glory. For then we seek the more earnestly the witness of God, when men speak evil of us falsely, and give us no credit for good. I'm guilty of this. I want, there's a part of me that wants to be known for something. And the founding fathers they understood this. That's the state of man. Declaration of Independence and the Constitution are so brilliant in their understanding of men and women and their ambition and their desire to be liked, loved, and their desire to be powerful. And that's why there's so many stopgaps. There's so many layers to the government that they built. Veto players. And I've talked about that in other videos. And so, again, vanity. The first 12 chapters of this book so far are about vanity. And he's saying, turn away from it. Selflessness is the way. Therefore ought a man to rest wholly upon God, so that he needeth not seek much comfort at the hand of men. When a man who feareth God is afflicted or tried or oppressed with evil thoughts, then he seeth that God is the more necessary unto him, since without God he can do no good thing. Then he is heavy of heart, he groaneth, he crieth out for the very disquietness of his heart. Then he groweth weary of life, and would fain depart and be with Christ. By all this he is taught that in the world there could be no perfect security or fullness of peace. Again, you never get there. There's no point where you're there. And right now, in this age of AI and being taught, people are talking about amazing abundance for all. Is that going to bring true peace? We're still going to have work to do. Even if every human's needs, basic needs of survival are cared for and cared for well, which is a blessing. That's a blessing from God. We can't say it's otherwise. we're still going to be striving. We're still going to be hungry for peace. And I called this a roadmap yesterday. It is. It's a roadmap to inner peace. But even he says, you'd never get there. This is not heaven. Nor is it meant, everybody who's ever come along and said, hey, let's put heaven on earth. Let's give that a try. It's never ended well, ever. Chapter 13 of Resisting Temptation. So long as we live in the world, we cannot be without trouble and trial. Wherefore it is written in Job, the life of man upon the earth is a trial. And therefore ought each of us to give heed concerning trials and temptations, and watch unto prayer, lest the devil find occasion to deceive. For he never sleepeth, but goeth about seeking whom he may devour. No man is so perfect in holiness that he hath never temptations, nor can we ever be wholly free from them. Even Jesus was tempted. The Son of God, God himself, was tempted by the devil, allowed himself to be tempted by the devil. That's profound. It's hard to understand. Yet notwithstanding, temptations turn greatly unto our profit, even though they may be great and hard to bear, for through them we are humbled, purified, and instructed. All saints have passed through much tribulation and temptation, and have profited thereby. And they who endure not temptation became reprobate and fell away. There is no position so sacred, no place so secret, that it is without temptation and adversaries. There is no man wholly free from temptation so long as he liveth, because he have the root of temptation within ourselves. We have the root of temptation within ourselves, in that we are born in concupiscence. We are born in concupiscence. Now, what does that mean? I'm not going to pretend like I know. Where's my AI chatbot? Define concupiscence.
In Christian theology, concupiscence is the tendency of human nature towards sin or selfish desires, often linked to original sin. It's like that inner pull toward things we know aren't good for us.
Yeah. So is me even going live? Is that concupiscence? Maybe. Maybe that's vanity. I don't know. I'm struggling with that throughout this whole book. Maybe going live isn't the answer. Maybe I need to do spaces where I'm not being filmed and it feels less vain. I don't know. But if I do spaces, then I have to get on X, and I swore I would not get on X. So, oh, that's tough. Still, I'm reading things that are true, so that's good. Wait, where's concupiscence? One temptation or sorrow passeth, and another cometh, and always we shall have somewhat to suffer, for we have fallen from perfect happiness. Many who seek to fly from temptation fall yet more deeply into them. By flight alone we cannot overcome, but by endurance and true humility we are made stronger than all of our enemies. He who only resisteth outwardly and pulleth not up by the root shall profit little. Nay, rather temptations will return to him the more quickly, and will be the more terrible. Little by little, through patience and long suffering, thou shalt conquer by the help of God, rather than by violence and thine own strength of will. in the midst of temptation often seek counsel, and deal not hardly with one who is tempted, but comfort and strengthen him as thou wouldest have done unto thyself. The beginning of all temptations to evil is instability of temper and want of trust in God. For even as a ship without a helm is tossed about by the waves, so is a man who is careless and infirm of purpose, tempted, now on this side, now on that. As fire testeth iron, so doth temptation the upright man. Oftentimes, he know not what strength we have. We know not know what strength we have, but temptation revealeth to us what we are. Nevertheless, we must watch, especially in the beginnings of temptation, for then is the foe the more easily mastered. When he is not suffered to enter within the mind, but is met outside the door as soon as he hath knocked. Wherefore one saith, check the beginnings. Once thou mightest have cured, but nowest past thy skill, too long hath it endured. For first cometh to mind the simple suggestion that the strong imagination afterwards pleasure, evil affection assent, and so little by little the enemy entereth in altogether, because he was not resisted at the beginning. And the longer a man delayeth his resistance, the weaker he groweth, and the stronger groweth the enemy against him. Some men suffer their most grievous temptations in the beginning of their conversion, some at the end. Some are sorely tried their whole life long. Some there are who are tempted but lightly, according to the wisdom and justice of the ordering of God, who knoweth the character and circumstances of men, and ordereth all things for the welfare of his elect. Therefore we ought not to despair when we are tempted, but the more fervently should cry out unto God, that he will vouchsafe to help us in all our tribulations, and that he will, as St. Paul saith, with the temptation make a way to escape, that we may be able to bear it. Let us therefore humble ourselves under the mighty hand of God in all temptation and trouble, for he will save and exalt such as are of an humble spirit. If temptations and troubles a man is proved, what progress he hath made, and therein is his reward the greater, and his virtue doth the more appear. Nor is it a great thing if a man be devout and zealous, so long as he suffereth no affliction. But if he behave himself patiently in the time of adversity, then is there hope of great progress. Some are kept safe from great temptations, but are overtaken in those which are little in common, that the humiliation may teach them not to trust themselves in great things, being weak in small things. Yeah, we're all different. But again, God loves all of us, and he knows your strengths, he knows your weaknesses, and he allows the devil to tempt based on those strengths and those weaknesses. It doesn't always make sense. But life doesn't always make sense. And if you're looking for perfect clarity, man, good luck. Chapter 14, on avoiding rash judgment. Look well unto thyself, and beware that thou judge not the doings of others. In judging others, a man laboreth in vain. He often erreth, and easily falleth into sin. But in judging and examining himself, he always laboreth to good purpose. According as a matter toucheth our fancy, so oftentimes do we judge of it. For easily do we fail of true judgment because our own personal feelings. If God were always the sole object of our desire, we should the less easily be troubled by the erring judgment of our fancy. But often some secret thought lurking within us, or even some outward circumstance, turneth us aside. Many are secretly seeking their own ends in what they do, yet not know it. yet know it not. They seem to live in good peace of mind so long as things go well with them, and according to their desires. But if their desires be frustrated and broken, immediately they are shaken and displeased. Diversity of feelings and opinions very often brings about dissensions between friends. I've got to get this light on the pages. Between countrymen, between religious and godly men. Established custom is not easily relinquished, and no man is very easily led to see with the eyes of another. If thou rest more upon thine own reason or experience than upon the power of Jesus Christ, thy light shall come slowly and hardily. For God willeth us to be perfectly subject unto himself, and all our reason to be exalted by abundant love towards him. Chapter 15 of Works of Charity. For no worldly good whatsoever, and for the love of no man, must anything be done which is evil. But for the help of the suffering of a good work must sometimes be postponed, or be changed for a better. For herein a good work is not destroyed, but improved. Without charity no work profiteth. But whatsoever is done in charity, however small, of no reputation it be, bringeth forth good fruit. For God verily considereth what a man is able to do, more than the greatness of what he doth. He doth much who loveth much. He doth much who doth well. He doth well who ministereth to the public good rather than to his own. Oftentimes that seemeth to be charity, which is rather carnality, because it springeth from natural inclinations, self-will, hope of repayment, desire of gain. And so when we give, do we give in front of other people? You know, when I read a book like this, am I doing it so that you'll think I'm great? Oh, Dave, all 5 people that see this, however many. Dave, he read a good book, a positive book. I don't know. It is interesting. I was talking to somebody recently about Bill Gates, and Warren Buffett and Bill Gates would have press conferences about how much money they were giving away, and a lot of people now don't consider Bill Gates to be that great of a person, and so did he soil the charities himself? And what were those charities doing? And then you ask all these questions, and then people start to lose faith. It's not good. But if you have faith, I think you can do charitable acts. You can give and do it quietly and know that you're doing the right thing, and then it. You got it. And I think that's where peace is found. Again, this is all about peace. It's all about inner peace, especially right now. Especially right now. We're in a funny time. I was just thinking about, I saw 2 guys almost get in a fist fight over some silly traffic issue. They One of them got out of his car and went up to the other car. But we live in a society where people feel as though their backs are against the wall. And talk about the founding fathers. Founding fathers never wanted it to be this way. They never wanted people to feel this way. We're taking so much into our own hands, partly because we have to, and then you start thinking that you're going to take everything into your own hands. This is a good chapter. He who hath true and perfect charity is no wise seeketh his own good, but desireth that God alone be altogether glorified. He envieth none, because he longeth for no selfish joy. Nor doth he desire to rejoice in himself, but longeth to be blessed in God as the highest good. He ascribeth good to none save to God only, the fountain whence all good proceedeth, and the end, the peace, the joy of all saints. O he who hath but a spark of true charity hath verily learned that all worldly things are full of vanity. All right, that was chapters 10 through 15. Hope you enjoyed them. I'm sure you can find this online for free. It's not copyrighted. I'm pretty certain it's probably online. And it's just a heck of a book. I always feel better after I read through these chapters, and I haven't even finished the book. I haven't finished the book. I tried reading it in spaces, and I got up to, I think, chapter 20, and then life happens. Life happens over and over again, and then you start thinking, well, the people that were listening, they don't care if I get on and say read the rest of it. I don't know. Vanity, vanity. I don't know. I hope you like it. I'm going to keep reading it. After this, I'm going to start talking about other books because I'm vain. I want you to see me talk. But I think this is a heck of a book. And to what degree it's out of vanity or a sense that I have some sort of duty to talk about good things in this moment. I don't know. I don't know. Probably vanity. So I hope you'll forgive me for that because I'm going to keep doing it. But this is a good book. The Imitation of Christ, Thomas Kempis. I'll be back on tomorrow, and we will talk some more about, well, we'll go chapter 11 through however many. I'll take a look at it. And I hope you're enjoying it. Again, if you comment, and I doubt anybody's commenting, I don't want to say I'm suppressed, but I think I might be suppressed. But I cuss too much. I used to cuss too much on X to not be suppressed. So I earned it, right? But hope you tune in tomorrow. Hope you keep tuning in, and I will continue to try to stick to what I said I'd do. Go live at 10 every day. We're getting there. We're getting there. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Anyone who listens to me at all, I'm very flattered and appreciative. So have a good day. God bless. And I will see y'all tomorrow, Thursday. Bye.